morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is the Boom Bar on your Boom Radio NG, wherever you listen to us from on the face of the earth. It's a brand new week, and it came with a lot of the the weekend came with a lot of news, a lot of celebration. The football side, a lot of surprises, a few surprises here and there. But I think it was a pretty interesting week. How was your weekend?
Oh, is that for me?
Yes, you.
How was my weekend? Busy,
Okay.
interesting, and not as busy as I envisaged it would be. But in all, I'm happy to be here, happy to be alive, and getting a chance to go at it again.
Yeah, so weekend was. I hope everybody had an interesting weekend. If you're just
How
joining
was
us
your
for the very
weekend?
first time, my weekend was not as I planned, but it was pretty restful. Yeah, to a large extent, yes, it was. It was pretty much yesterday. Yeah, it was pretty much restful. So yeah, it's good. It was actually good, all in all. So a very interesting day today. There's going to be a few things that we're going to be talking about, but there are a lot of things to unbundle from it. Was football was the last day of football season in a lot of places yesterday and 2 days ago. It was almost like the end of the 2021-2022 football season last weekend. So we saw a lot of games we played at the same time. People that won, people that not surprising, people that almost won. There's all these stories about fans encroaching on the pitch. This has happened in the Premier League twice in 1 week. And those are things that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be diving a little bit into, Mbappe that even I'm sure Real Madrid thought he was going, and then here we are, right in PSG. I called it though. I called it. I said I never saw him go anyway. But here we are. Mbappe signed another 3-year deal. Even if he didn't want to stay, Uncle, 3-year deal is a lot. Anyway, from moving on from that, this weekend as well, coming to Nigeria, there's a lot of politics that happened over the weekend. Pdp primaries for the House of Assembly and National and State House of Assemblies was this weekend. There's a lot of things that we're definitely going to unbundle from state to state. Some seemed calm and some was a little with a bit of violence, or some came with a few surprises. Some people got a few surprises with primaries back and forth. So yeah, we're going to be talking about that. There's a bit of postponement on another part of the party. Another party is being told to postpone again as well. There's a new party on the horizon. There's a third force, all for these 2023 elections. And the NDDC is in the news again. For people that don't know, that's the Niger Delta Development Commission is in the news again. So we'll definitely, if we hope that we can catch that as well. So sit back and relax. This and a few more things that we might be able to talk about today on the Boom Bar. My name is Oladolu, and with me,
Shola Rogers.
So let's dive right into it, yeah. And let's start from sports. That on Saturday, was it on Saturday? It was on Saturday that Milan won. No, sorry, on Sunday.
Yesterday.
It was also on Sunday, yeah. And it's very interesting because, at least the little that I know, it was the first time the Serie A. It was the first time they were winning. The last game, they beat Sassuolo 3-0 to clinch that. It was the first time they're winning that in 11 years.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because if you look at the table, it's like virtually every league this year, it was all down to the wire. Everybody, it wasn't like, okay, maybe if other than the Bundesliga that they already got theirs, like a few
Eons ago.
weeks ago and all. But other than that, a lot of other places it was down to the wire. Like look at this Serie A table now. It was AC Milan, then Inter Milan had it with 84. They had 84 points. AC Milan finished with 86 points. So it was, if you lose, you're down. If I win, do you understand? It was a really really tough one this season. Juve and finished that the fourth position. Also, it was AC Milan, the Inter Milan, then Napoli. Looks like the Milans are actually the Milanis are dominating every which way you look at it.
Yeah, interesting times in the Serie A. I listened to you and Bayo on Saturday, and he was trying to get you to predict or call it how the season would end and all. But where I was screaming like, I hope Milan gets it because I know that it's been a while. There's been a domination by Juventus.
Yeah, there has.
So Turin has had it like forever. It's always been Juve, winning everything winnable. Even when they were docked points for some issues that they had a couple of years ago, they still
came back stronger. Yeah.
And I know so many years ago it used to be AC Milan and
Inter Milan.
The Juve just broke, all of that, and it made it look to some people that was what it was. So for AC Milan and Inter Milan to go down to the wire shows you that these teams are putting a lot to get to where they are. A couple of talking points. I remember when Zlatan Ibrahimovic returned to Milan in his late 30s.
Everybody was like,
what's he going to do there? What does he want to achieve that he hasn't achieved? And all of that. There are rumors of him saying he would make sure that they won a trophy before he retired.
Yeah, there are a few people that you can talk about. Giroud.
Yeah.
And I saw it like...
And it was a hero yesterday.
Yeah, it was. And, it's very interesting where... I think someone had tweeted that what Arsenal and Chelsea couldn't give him,
Yeah.
It's not spring chicken, but he's doing amazing. And it's one of the people I was like, why did Arsenal let this guy go?
The sad part about the Giroud story, Olivier Giroud story, is that it turned out to be the one that sealed the deal yesterday. And again, it seems to have been disrespected by those two clubs. I feel that it was just like when Giroud was let go at Arsenal. They let him go because of another French player. And whenever they went back home to France, he was ranked ahead of that player.
Yeah.
So I always wondered why Arsenal made that decision. Then, of course, he made that short trip across, the road and went down to Chelsea. And we thought it was going to happen for him. It still didn't happen there.
It still didn't. And
there he is, not so young, but being the star.
He's
it was
doing,
just having the time of his life.
Definitely doing amazing.
The Milan story, of course, is not complete without Zlatan's input. But again, Fikayo Tomori is another player.
Yeah, that's another.
That you need to talk about.
Yeah.
Look at how
he too moved from the Premier League, and to be honest, when he was in Chelsea, he wasn't. It wasn't as big. Let me put it like that. It wasn't. Maybe this was what he needed to actually just seal the deal. These people, I don't know what the Serie A is doing for them, but they definitely and they have been having an amazing time. Shout out to AC Milan. They definitely deserved. They definitely deserve this. Before we go to Premier League on Saturday as well, we saw the end of the Ligue 1 as well. Yeah. Even though
the league that ended weeks ago.
Even though that's what I was gonna say. Even though it had ended weeks ago with PSG, we know that, and it's almost the same thing that happens with PSG. It's the same thing that happens with in the Bundesliga. Do you get? It's just.
It's a given.
It's a given, but you never
PSG
know.
Will always win.
This what happens with Juve a lot. But here we are today.
Yeah, and maybe once in a while,
somebody else.
One team will just. It's like what happens in Germany too, when it's always Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Then at some point, Dortmund
will just come up.
I said, man.
And it happened at least once in the Premier League with Leicester.
Yeah.
Nobody saw them coming until they had won the league.
Exactly.
It was too late, yeah. So yeah, those things happen once in a while. So talking about PSG was in the news over the weekend as their star boy, Project Mbappe, has decided to stay in PSG.
Yeah, and that had everybody talking. Like,
was he surprised?
A lot of people didn't see it coming because
really?
he had more or less signed a new deal with Madrid. A deal with Madrid. It was what people believed that it was just left for them to dot the I's and cross the T's. He even traveled there and everything. And I'm happy for him. A young man, his age is barely 25, isn't it?
Oh yeah, he's doing amazing.
He's on top of the world.
He's doing amazing. He's one of the best players in the world. Let's not.
So I'm happy for Kylian Mbappe, but you see, maybe as a PR person myself and someone who likes to analyze things deeply, I am irritated by the PR game that they are playing around him. You get, at times, the best PR is the truth.
Just be quiet, or more like
just
keep quiet. Really,
I like.
He signed a new
one,
and just.
So this is it. If you were going to stay at PSG, you would have signed this deal 2 years ago. You didn't sign it until you wound down your contract. You didn't sign it 6 months ago. That gave you a chance to talk to, because 6 months to the end of your deal, you're allowed to talk to anybody.
Or maybe this put him in a better position. They probably weren't offering him as much money.
So it put him in a better position.
Or be better.
Because he wound down his contract.
Yeah.
So don't come and say it's because he believes in the team and he was always going to.
Yeah. I get you. I get you perfectly.
I feel disrespected.
Yeah. We saw the same thing happen.
That he wanted a better deal, and look for Kylian Mbappe. Look at how.
I'm not even sure Real Madrid will have been able to pay what they're paying him. They're going to be paying him now.
Yeah, of course, Madrid is not what Madrid used to be when it comes to finances, but I'm sure that they would have broken the bank for him. And the beauty of it is that teams like Madrid and Barcelona always have the banks supporting them.
Yeah.
So at times they don't use their own money; they get money from the bank.
They would have gotten it whichever way.
But the biggest problem would have been trying to understand the business angle of things.
Also,
is the issue with image rights.
Yeah.
Now, so in Spain, the top clubs, or virtually all the clubs, but I know about the top clubs, they do not allow you have your 100% image. Depending on your bargaining power and your star power, you might be given a certain percentage of your own image rights. But in places like England and France, it's not a thing. There's no, look, a Ronaldo with Man United, a Lukaku with Chelsea, or a Jack Grealish with Man City can still go ahead to sign other deals that do not contravene or contradict the contract that he has.
Contract, yeah.
But in Spain, because they need to recoup and make more money, they share image rights, and there were talks of that stalling. Like there were issues with what percentage of image rights that was going to go to Mbappe or not go to Mbappe and all of that. I remember that Ronaldo, it was a shocker for him, but he had to find a way around it. There are times when they were contracted to go play football outside Spain. The organizers would negotiate with Messi directly or Ronaldo directly, and negotiate with the club also. So that way, they don't find themselves not having those guys feature, because the whole world wants to see Ronaldo and Messi play, or Messi. Mm-hmm. So Mbappe looked like he was on his way, but the big boys are like, you want to bamba.
And the truth is that PSG is part of the big boys. They are the big boys.
So it's a thing of pride for them, because if you remember also around this time last year, they had to reject every offer that was made on Mbappe.
Yeah.
They could have made money off it,
They
But
could
are saying,
have.
we would
it's-
rather
we
wind
would
down the
rather-
contract
yeah,
than allow him
that
go
allow him
for
go
whatever amount.
Exactly.
You know,
So it's not
again,
about the
it's
money
also
for
a
them.
thing of pride.
You know,
You know?
I agree with you totally. Remember, when it was Messi in Barcelona, that everybody thought, okay, he was going to stay and he was going.
It was
to
around
do
this
it.
time
He
last
was-
year, there was a
it
lot of
around
drama.
There was a lot of drama around it, but here we are. He has still not gone back to Barcelona. Remember, there was in a conversation that after 1 year he will go back to Barcelona and all that. He will complete his contract. See, I think we should just finally agree that this thing is a business. Is more about business first. Yes, do they play game? Do they love the game? But I look at it generally from the fact that it is how do I say it now? They even playing ball is their own work. So it's you really can't blame anybody for, you know, wanting to negotiate better, for doing all the work that you have to do. So shout out to Mbappe. I didn't think it was moving anyway, so I think PSG is a fantastic team. They're doing amazing, obviously. Sadly, they couldn't. I hope they do better in Champions League this season, though, or next season. Let me put it like that. Next season. So let's come back to games that happened yesterday and all last games of the Premier League happened yesterday. All at 4 p.m. We know that that's what happens every time, and also with the Premier League, it was down to the last minute to know who was going to win and who was not going to win. In fact, I thought I saw a picture a few days ago where I think they said there was a setup that was for the trophy it was set up in Man City and also at Liverpool.
Yes, that happens when the league goes down to the wire. That happens from time to time. You find that they don't want a situation where they're not prepared for some kind of fanfare and celebration. Because imagine if they had assumed that City had won and Liverpool end up pulling it off. You get, then you now find that they'll be scrambling to get the trophy.
Yeah.
And also, what they might have had was maybe one replica here in one place and another, you know, in where Liverpool was playing and all of that. So they had to put all of that in place. You know, so like I was pointing out, I think it was last week when we were discussing that, you know, it's funny that there was no guard of honor for anybody because the league did not end before.
It didn't. It definitely did not.
Day.
It definitely, which could have if Manchester City did not drop points, because at some point I think they were leading with about 9-12 points.
Yes, but so that's actually kudos to Liverpool. It shows the tenacity and the champion stuff that Liverpool had for them to, you know, turn the screw on City and make the game go down,
we saw
down
City's we saw at the first half Aston Villa was beating Manchester City 2-0 and you're like, okay, are you really serious that Man City is not going to win this game? Like, it was, you wouldn't even think that it would even be. I didn't even think Aston Villa was even going to score anything, but here we are. They actually did, but of course, Man City came back to finish it off with 3 goals. Also, another very interesting game that we know that what would have happened. This was the way the Liverpool and the Manchester City game was dependent on each other. Was also another set of games was the Tottenham game and the Arsenal game.
Yes, Champions League football was at stake.
Yeah.
And of course, that also went down to the wire.
Yeah, it went down to the wire. It was a lot of goals for both of them.
It could have gone differently if Arsenal had done the business 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Again, if they had also not dropped points
a few
days ago.
If they didn't, it would have.
But when it was down to the wire, Tottenham rose the
highest. They did.
Said, we want Champions League football more than Arsenal does.
So they
because
did.
that also put Chelsea on their toes, and they're like, you know what, and they were dropping points.
They were also dropping points,
like it was going out of fashion. Like, okay.
Oh yeah.
So
it was very interesting. It was a very interesting season this season. Tottenham ended the game 5-0 with against Norwich. Arsenal also ended the game 5-1 yesterday. It was like And I'm like, against Everton, I'm like, okay, if you had this much ginger to actually, because the truth is that as at yesterday, where they were and the number of points they had ahead of Manchester United, even if they had lost yesterday's game, it wouldn't have made a difference.
No, it wouldn't have.
It wouldn't have made a difference. So I'm like, really?
Yeah, because United already sealed their own fate like a long time ago.
And talking about United,
Still-
they gave
still lost their last game.
everybody who was hoping to just win, just because, at least.
Don't forget who they played. A wounded Palace.
True though. You know,
Not
I can't remember. No, not making excuses, but I agree with you.
I saw a couple of games yesterday. The strange part, United dominated this game. That goal by Zaha came against the run of play. Typical Man United making schoolboy errors in defense.
And you know, for me, you know that I will still keep saying that kudos to Crystal Palace this season. Amazing.
Patrick
Vieira
deserves all
honestly,
the praise.
I think Arsenal needs to look that guy's way now. But let's hope that they're just I think that he's one of the best managers this season. Is the only team that has beaten Manchester City home and away. They did definitely have the screw that locks. They have the key to Manchester City. They beat virtually almost everybody. But did they have their own? Of course, we saw it was the week before where they lost the game to Everton. So, but like I said, even though it was not going to really affect, which it wasn't really going to affect them so much, it would have been wonderful if they actually won their game.
Yeah, go out with a bang.
And the very interesting thing was that the only luck Manchester United had yesterday from not dropping to 7th was because West Ham lost yesterday's game as well.
Exactly, because they had a favor done them.
Yeah, if West Ham had won, it was Brighton. If West Ham had won yesterday's game,
they're going to drop to
they would have
the league.
The Europa Conference League. So I'm wondering, like,
which is less prestigious.
What exactly was the plan yesterday? Like, what was the plan?
The sad part is the new manager was sat there in that stadium, and at some point, you look at his face and maybe the guys were like, what have I gotten myself into? Because I saw a team that had lost everything.
I don't think they have a lot of verve anymore. A lot of people are leaving. And we know that Pogba is going to Juve.
Oh, he's gone already. Pogba is gone. Matic is gone. Cavani is gone. Which is the kind of clear-out that they actually need.
They need new blood. They need to rearrange that team.
And I said something a few weeks ago, because one of the things that I do for myself is that I observe the junior teams of Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, and Liverpool. I check what the junior team, the under 23, the under 19s, what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I saw how well the Man United under 23 team is doing, and I said to myself over and over again,
go and pick
there's
people
no crime
for this.
Fielding 6 or 7 of these boys because you already know you lost anyway. So let them give it their best. So yesterday, what they did was, of course, we know Elanga has become a part of the team now, young chap. Then they brought in a guy, Hannibal Mejbri, and I saw what the boy was about. I'm like, okay. So it shows that, the youth projects for these teams are on point. When you look at players like Fikayo Tomori, who has gone to Milan, and you look at someone like Bukayo Saka.
Oh my god!
You understand that the youth system is
working. Oh, yeah. We see
Eddie Nketiah is a good player. It might not be the finished product.
I don't know why. I'm hoping Arsenal keeps him.
I really hope
is kept.
The real job is to keep Saka.
Oh yeah.
For me, because keeping Saka for Arsenal would be like a new player. Like you just acquired a new player.
Yeah. He's finally gotten into his own.
The game that was played, I think it was last week, Monday or Tuesday or so. At some point, he was drafted to another role. That's how much of a utility player.
Yeah, he's
he
playing
is.
amazing.
And he had a good season. He had a very
Oh
good
yeah, he
season.
had definitely had a good season.
So again, I'm not one of the Arteta out people. I think Arteta has done an amazing job, but he can do better.
He should be going.
And it's time that he actually also did his own clear out. There are about 3 or 4 players that should not play for Arsenal again.
Yeah, I agree.
There are about 3 or 4 players that should be like, you know what, thank you for coming. But it's time that
It's time you
left.
left. Yeah, you've done enough. Before we leave, Mohamed Salah and Son actually shared the Premier League Golden Boot with 23 goals, and one person that I'm particularly happy for is Son.
Yes, he got his own goals without no penalties or anything.
Yeah,
and that to me makes him ahead of
Salah. Yeah, I agree with you.
Don't have any problems with Salah, but I think Son deserves it. He's never won this before, and you would have thought that in a team that had Harry Kane, it would be Kane.
It would be, but give it to Son this season.
It started this season.
It started. I think it was since about a season.
Down.
Yeah, then he just picked again. It's been good, which I'm happy also for the fact that even though I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm happy that someone like him, someone like Harry Kane, get to play Premier League football. Champions League football again. Do I see them getting very, very far in Champions League? Maybe not. But and let's see. Anything is possible. And finally, before we go, Champions League football is Chelsea. It's Liverpool and Real Madrid. Who do you think is going to win that game?
When is the finals?
It's a few days. I can't remember.
I'm not saying anything until then. Until very close to it.
Really?
I'm not saying anything.
Really? Anyway, that's one game that at least everybody in the football world is still definitely looking forward to.
Staying with the Premier League, Burnley, Watford, and Norwich have one thing in common.
They're getting relegated. They're going back to where they're coming from.
Yeah, they're going back to where they're coming from.
Okay, I didn't mean it like that, though, but
yeah, but it's fine the way you said it. Actually, again, another important stat. This is from Squawker, and it says that most goals and assists by defenders this season. Trent Alexander-Arnold and Reece James, 14.
Wow.
14. And Arnold played 32 games, and Reece James played 26 games. And of course, now Trent Alexander-Arnold scored only 2 goals and has 12 assists.
12 assists.
For a defender.
That's
a heavy return.
That's good. Yeah,
that's a heavy return.
That's good.
And on his own part, Reece James scored 5 goals and he had 9 assists.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So definitely, I know there's a break now. People would find something else to be doing.
People have actually started the countdown. Someone said 77 days to the beginning of the season.
People should be coming down. Give it a rest. Give it a rest.
Maybe I should join that countdown and say 76 days.
Give it a rest. Can't you just
and all of that?
Can't you want to be beautiful? Just have a weekend without football.
No. Let's not.
I think I actually.
Let's not.
But there's really not going to be football in a few weeks.
There's football. They're good. People are linking up with their national teams. It's a World Cup year.
It's a World Cup
friendly
year,
games
though.
being played here and there.
But it's not really as interesting as club football.
That's what you said. But we'll take it anyway.
But anyway, it's football, so definitely for people that do not have a choice, they definitely will take it anyway. So let's move off that and let's move to Nigerian politics. But before we even get to Nigerian politics, the NDDC has been in the news a lot. As that's the Niger Delta Development Commission. We know how some Director General has about 2 people. There was a House of Rep member and a Director General. Former House Director General has been picked up by the EFCC, and that we talked about last week that there's definitely going to be more stories coming from that angle. And as of today now, from a directive from the president, the Niger Delta Development Commission has cancelled unexecuted projects awarded between the year 2000 and 2019. And all contractors are those expected to refund the monies for the projects. That's where the issue lies. It's one thing to cancel the project. You know, like, okay, they cancel the project, okay, they will award it to somebody else. Now, monies from 2000, like, that's 22 years ago. 22 years ago.
A child that they even gave birth to in 2000 has already given birth to another child by now.
I think it's time to, at this point, I think it's time to, it's time for, like you have been saying, it's time that we need to build more prisons because it looks like people are going to jail. A lot of people.
You know, the thing about this particular piece of news is that the Niger Delta Development Commission was created because of the inherent issues in the Niger Delta.
Yeah.
It was created because of the things that was going wrong, you know, in the South, in all the Niger Delta states. This is the area that produces Nigeria's wealth. Then what happens?
What happened?
Nothing to show for it. So this was supposed to be like a special vehicle to deliver the dividends of democracy to
these people. Yeah.
Oil spillage in one place, you know, a lack of farmlands because oil spillage, and on and on and on. And what do you get? You get Niger Deltans robbing their own people black and blue.
You know, that for me, that's even the saddest part. Like the fact that these people are from the Niger Delta, probably grew up in this rot, and here we are.
You're just making life difficult for them, and you're happy with yourself. You're comfortable with, you know, knowing that you're just stealing money. Imagine if all the monies that were voted to the Niger Delta in the last 22 years had actually been used for the purpose that it was deployed for.
I agree with you.
It will be a region where maybe some of us will say, I'm moving to the
Niger. Like I used to say that I feel that Niger Delta should have been our own Dubai.
I agree with you, you know.
But here we are. We're still going back and forth.
So back to the injunction or the instruction by the president of Nigeria. Again, it's something that a lot of people have shied away from.
Yeah.
Knowing that, okay, look at the typical example why no president will want to say that they should ask people to refund monies. One of the people arrested last week for collecting money for a contract that was not executed is a former speaker of the house.
Of the house.
That's a person that has, you know, clout, that has stature and all of that. I heard she's been released. I think she was released at the weekend or so. But
these things should not even, your name shouldn't even be.
So, but that's what I'm saying. That if this one person has been mentioned, you can imagine how long that list will be.
Yeah.
When they start to reveal all the people who have been going there to get contracts. In the first place, you're not even supposed to go get contracts.
Contracts there.
Then you get contracts from the government, and you do not carry out your roles. You don't do what you're collecting money for, and you will still come out to criticize A and B, and you know, start to you know, give us theories on how things should be run. But you're just a thief, you know. The Niger Delta deserves better than this, you know. And I'm happy that there's a lot of calm in that region now, but they should not tempt these guys because you don't want them to get angry.
Exactly.
So please,
Let's
the DSS, the EFCC, the police, they need to ramp up the process of getting these guys to pay up the stolen loot that they have taken from the Niger Delta.
Yeah. So moving on from the NEDC, and another thing that happened over the weekend is the Pdp primaries that has to do with state and the House of Representatives candidate, for the 2023 general elections. And, you know, different states differs. There some claim that some states where some primaries were peaceful. They said some were not. There was a bit of violence. In fact, there was one that said that there's killings that were involved in a particular state. Another one has to do with people canceling their primaries and saying that they do not agree with primaries. And I won't even call this as a PDP thing. I would say that it happens literally like across board. Why is it that we always have there's always this story every single time?
It's politics, but I'm not saying that's the definition of politics. I'm saying that's the way some people feel or think they know how to play politics. You have an agenda, or you have a plan. You want to become something, or you have a candidate that is vying for a post. In your mind, in your heart of hearts, did you really think that you are the only one that wanted it?
You're the only one, yeah.
And what exactly have you put in place to clinch it? I was having a discussion with a couple of people yesterday, and they were dropping names and dropping gist, and I was looking at them at some point. I was forced to come in to say, look,
can we be coming down?
At the end of the day, all these people you've mentioned, how many of them can garner the highest number of delegates? Because it's not about
people,
anything that's happening on social media,
or
on the street.
It's
solely about party members,
yeah,
who we have entrusted, sadly, because we refuse to join the parties and we refuse to play a role in it. So these guys are going to determine for us who will be presented as candidates for us to vote for at the general. That's why they call it the general elections. So why is there violence at this event? Why do things go awry, even for APC and PDP? It's because of agenda. People's agendas, their personal aggrandizement, their personal need, to have their way. But if we're mature enough to play politics the way we should, we'll realize that it's not always going to go your way. And if it goes the other person's way, it's still the same party. And you're supposed to support the person regardless. So the stories are not so palatable.
Yeah, let's just start breaking them down. So in Lagos State, let's start from where over the weekend Lagos State has now come out. Basically, the chairman of the Lagos State People's Democratic Party have said that they want an outright cancellation of all alleged delegates list of the party coming from the state. This was said by Mr. Philip Ivoji at a press conference where he's saying that the exco of the party and 5 of the 6 governorship aspirants of the party have agreed to cancel all delegates list, because the primaries that happened over the weekend the delegates that came out with the party primaries that happened was not
a true reflection.
Yes, it was kind of doctored.
And something similar happened, I think it's in Imo State or so, when the PDP had sent its own crew to go sort out their primaries and delegates list and all of that. And this is becoming like a trend. Look, we must realize that politicians will cry wolf and act funny. We get that. But it's becoming one too many that after every PDP election or primaries, the feedback. So, how do we stop this from happening? The only way we can do it is to make sure we do the right thing.
We do the right thing, putting people there. Still talking about a bit of violence. Now, another, I won't call it violence, but a little bit of anger is Oyo State PDP primaries as well. As a particular group by the name of Concerned People's Frontiers have said that they have perfected plans to sue the party due to the manipulation of primary elections that were held in some constituencies in the state.
Yeah, I looked at that story, and what they're talking about is how, like, two major parts of Ibadan, for example, I think it's Ibadan
Northeast and
Yeah.
Ibadan Southeast.
that candidates were imposed. Yeah, like they didn't allow them go to primaries, and people have been preparing for this particular thing for months, and all of that, and it seems to be gathering a lot of traction now, because people are talking about it. People are calling, trying to find out the background gist, about this. I'm hoping that, because we need a strong opposition, and even if the opposition transits to becoming the party of the day, we need a strong party that has put everything in place for
like
conflict resolution and other things. Because if they don't, they're just going to spend 4 years.
And it's
and
very
it's gonna affect
interesting
us.
that it was said that one of these two places is actually the constituency of the deputy national chairman of the PDP.
Yes.
So you now wonder, like, if this is happening right at his doorstep.
Yeah. So does he know about it? Did he let it happen, or is it about him? Is there a reason why? Did he belong to a caucus that is not so popular? All sorts of questions.
No, there's a lot of talks and a lot of allegations are talking about how they had said that the deputy national chairman invaded the venue of the primaries with armed thugs, police, and soldiers, harassing, intimidating, and threatening them, and ordering them to leave the venue or they will be shot. That's very strong allegations right there.
It is actually, because you now have to be very careful, because this one, it looks like it's gone beyond the regular dissenting voices. They're talking about being shot. Nobody wants to be shot, man. Trust me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, these are really strong allegations against, and you don't want to. There's a lot of court cases now that we know that, at least from what we've seen over the years, court cases literally sacks people. People are right in the already gotten the mandate and they get sacked. People get sacked a day before they get the mandate. People get sacked 3 years after they've been on the job. Do you understand? So court cases now are not things that you just go to sleep over anymore. Those things literally mess up your whole thing. So I think that whatever internal issues they have, it needs to be sorted very soon. And then going all the way to Ekiti State, where the son of the former governor of Ekiti State had won the People's Democratic Party ticket for House of Representatives. His media aide as well, Larry Olayinka, has also won the seat for House of Representatives as well for Ekiti Central Federal Constituency.
Yeah. So his media aide will be Fayoshe's media aide,
Yes.
Larry Olayinka, and everybody knows him. He's been very vocal. In fact, he became more popular when Fayoshe left government than as it was when he was working with the then governor of the state. Now, anybody that is of age to vote and be voted for, and is at least competent to a certain extent, should be allowed to express themselves politically.
Oh, yeah.
But the strange thing about this Fayoshe story and his son winning the PDP primary, how people are always going on, because Yemi also talked about it during political voyage. Do you think it's a dynasty? Oh, why get it gone? But you look at the guy, and in true terms,
He has children. No?
his wife is the only person who is a member of his family that actually did contest.
Yeah.
And win 2 elections. If you check out the other stuff, his son is into business, this one is here and there. You get. So it's funny how nobody says anything about
other people.
Why is Fayoshe's son, contesting and all of that. And it doesn't stop with Fayoshe.
Oh yeah,
The others-
there were a lot of people there are a lot of people that their children are, it looks like is officially looking like a dynasty at some point. As Governor Ifeanyi Okowa's daughter, the current governor of Delta State, has won the Ika Northeast ticket for the House of Assembly. Also, former Governor Emmanuel Uduaghan's daughter lost the Warri North ticket as well. And you know the very interesting part, also another person's daughter that has that's tied now. Ibori, what's his first name? James Ibori's daughter. Yeah. Also tied with a Ben Igbaka running for the House. So it looks like there's going to be a rerun that is going to happen at a later date. But then I saw a tweet yesterday that when it was announced that Uduaghan's daughter had lost, that thank God, is it just their family members that they're going to be in it? And I was going to reply, but I just left it. But my thought was that whether you will call it a dynasty, whether you don't like it or not, they decided to get involved. We're just going to sit down and do nothing. And then just complain because we don't get involved. You can't get these tickets until you actually get involved. These people are putting their children. Yeah. Because there's nobody else. Let's be honest with ourselves. Nobody else wants to step up to it. And the idea is that maybe you claim that, because that's the way it comes off, like you claim that their fathers are old, yeah? So let them put their children that are young. These people are your age mates anyway. So why not? If not, are they not children? Are they not citizens of Nigeria? So what else are we doing?
Yeah, I just really hope that in bringing a former governor's child into government, or in appointing them or sponsoring them for primaries, that we factor in what the other parties are going through. They tend to put obstacles in people's ways and choose the people that they want. But hardly would you find a child of a politician that goes into politics that will lose, except for Udohan.
Yeah.
Yet, which might be a bad thing when he looks at it, but it's a good thing for
democracy in itself. Yes, I agree.
I will not begrudge anybody the opportunity or the chance to run and represent motherland, but after all said and done, we have abundant talent in Nigeria, but how many of you guys are coming
out? That's my own issue. Like, up until you come out, then we can have a discussion about whether somebody whether some things were stopped, or some things were against you or not against you. But the fact of the matter, a lot of time, is that we're not even doing anything to change the narrative. That's where my own angle comes from. Also, another person that seems to have lost this drama is a House of Representatives member who wants to go for his 5th tenure, actually lost his bid.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting, yeah? How someone that is a sitting House of Rep member
5 times
that has gone 4 times, he's there already. And then there were 111 votes and he could only garner 2. Then I'm like, okay, what's happening?
A 7 House of Rep.
A 7 House of... I'm not saying that everybody should win, yeah? I'm not saying he's entitled to winning. But you shouldn't lose that bad.
2 votes. One of which is his own.
Yeah. Are you actually that bad in your constituency?
From 111 delegates.
If to me, I think this is about one of the best news, the best show of democracy that I have seen in a while. Like, are you actually that bad in your constituency that people just don't really, out of 111, 2, you, a sitting House of Reps member? No, it's laughable.
It is laughable. it is laughable. It's borderline disgusting because it also shows at times, because I don't think the electorate um, dropped him because they don't like the way he looks. I'm sure it's more about
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
maybe,
Like, okay,
maybe they're like, okay, you've been there for 12 years. Yeah, maybe you should let someone else
it's
run.
time to go.
Or all the while you were there yourself, what did you do for us? You know, they're gonna say things like that to you.
So
And you must be able to
you
answer.
definitely must be able to answer. Another very interesting political story is today has been announced that 7 political parties have joined forces with or they've joined forces to become Labour Party, which is supposed to be the third force that is supposed to battle the APC and the PDP, which arguably, no, it's not even arguably, the 2 biggest parties in Nigeria. There's nothing to argue about it, let's be honest ourselves. Anyway, so these 7 parties are together with the Nigerian Consultative Force, who's supposed to be the third force that is supposed to battle the APC and PDP. They have come together to under the umbrella of the Labour Party, and the Labour Party is involved the NLC, the Nigeria Labour Congress, the Trade Union Congress. There are a few people. Professor Patutomi is involved. The former INEC chairman Atairu Jaga is involved. Human rights lawyer Femi Falana is involved. You know, there are a few people that are involved, and you know that we know a lot of these things. Take for example, the APC did this 8 years ago, and it worked. So do you think it's going to work this time?
What is gonna work?
It's the Labour Party.
You know, the idea of coming with a third force is very welcome. I think it's what we need, but what we need is a strong third force. But the timing and everything has to be well thought out. You cannot be reactionary or be running late and expect that people who are running faster should slow down for you. So if you were going to catch the PDP, for instance, or the APC, you'd be matching them, you know, verb for verb, word for word, man for man. Now, the third force, I like the promoters of it. I like Patito's gang, the guy that held it down, Patito's down, Pat Utomi. I like the idea of Atairu Jega, who of course will go down in history as being an extremely good person and non-partisan for taking the decisions that he took to, you know, see that Lagos upgraded. But you look at the structure that they claim to have. They say they have 20 million Labour and TUC members, which is very possible on paper. But again, how well have you carried those 20 million people along to the point where
You're sure that they're going to vote for you?
Yeah, you know, how well have you done that? Then apart from that, they are also always fixated on the APC and the PDP. Everything they say or do is APC and PDP. What they should be saying and doing is to focus on Nigerians, the ones that will help them kick them out. You know, I don't know why you use APC and PDP as your yardstick or look, they're already there. Their membership structure is known. The things that they have is known by everybody. So, if you have not done and they claim that they've been at work for 15 months, working behind the scenes. By now, we should be seeing the results of 15 months' work. So, why are you always talking about APC and PDP? What you need to be talking about right now
deal with your own
is how you've been able to garner support on the street. How you've been able to
everybody should be able to know you.
People to vote for you. Because for the first time, we're actually doing primaries way, way, way ahead of time. So we already knew that
who's going where. What by next month, everybody should be everything will be concluded.
We know who is representing the APC, the PDP, and most of the other parties. Now this is the NMPP that claims it's the oldest but yet the youngest party. I don't know what they mean, and that they have a massive structure across Nigeria. and this is Labour and TUC, the Trade Union Congress, who said they're going to deliver 20 million votes because their members are all above the age of 18 anyway.
And they're sure that every single member of the NLC and the
So,
TUC is
who
involved
are
in
the
this
people?
party.
And this is my issue. I'm shocked that 4 years ago we were here having this discussion. It's not up to 4 years, but it was around this time. That time. Why are you always talking about the presidency?
Infiltrated from
what about the House of Assembly? These other parties are conducting their primaries now. Can we see your candidates?
Yeah.
Where are the Labour
And there's
Party?
an INEC deadline.
And by the time you produce the governor of Lagos, the next governor comes from Labour Party. And the House of Assembly, let's say there are 30 of them, all 30 or 28 of them are APC. How does your
governor survive?
function? And the same thing happens at the federal level. And this is where they all fail.
Because it's a whole
package.
It's like a pyramid. If the bottom is not set properly, the one at the top, there's not how it's going to stay. Yeah,
so you all want to produce the next president. You all want to.
It's really not. Nigeria is not just the presidency.
That's it.
It's
That's
a
it.
whole
Everybody
lot.
wants to be
A
the
whole
president.
lot is involved. A whole lot is involved. I totally agree with you. We're definitely going to see where that is going to go. Before we go, the All Progressives Congress has decided to fix a new date to screen presidential candidates. The screening was meant to be today. So according to a national secretary, it has now been moved till tomorrow. And another interesting thing that they're saying is that they're expecting every single 28 of the people that have bought forms that they have also not been informed or formally written to that some people have dropped out of the race.
Where the PDP screening committee is coming from is well understood.
No, I'm talking about APC.
Sorry, where the APC screening committee is coming from is well understood. They didn't do most of these things the last time out, and if they did, it wasn't this publicized.
So they're just trying to be careful, put everything out there.
When they had primaries in Zamfara State and they went on to have general elections, they won every seat. But based on things like this, they didn't do the screenings. The primaries were not done as and when due.
Their primaries
INEC
was cancelled
you know, all of those things that they thought was business as usual. INEC showed them that it's not. So they lost an entire state to the PDP for that. By some machinations, they got the state back somehow, and every number counts, especially towards the center. So I'm happy that they're doing all of this screening. And again, I like the fact that they're insisting that everybody that bought a form or had a form bought on their behalf or had a form donated to them is still on their list. The question is who will
show up and who will not show up.
And again, this might be a good time for the president to